Hello, and welcome once again to the second episode of Coachee Diaries. My name is Maryada Shetty. I am the founder of Invita Learning and the host of Coachee Diaries. Today, it's a privilege that one of the most esteemed guests has come to our podcast. Her name is Nilima. Nilima has been working into the coaching fraternity. She is specifically working with people who want to become leaders. If you're first-time leaders, if you're struggling in terms of leadership management, Nilima is the person you reach out to. Now, Nilima comes from a insurance background. She has actually started and scaled one of her own insurance company, and it has been absolutely brilliant. And today, we would like to learn some of the lessons from Nilima's life, look at her story, her challenges, what did she learn, why did she even start or and foray into coaching, what is the vision, and ultimately the big question: how do we find purpose? How do we lead a meaningful life? Having said that, let's all welcome Nilima. Nilima, thank you so much for joining in. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me here. I mean, it's a pleasure to be in conversation with you. So happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Nilima, let's get started. The first question that I have for you is, let's talk about your journey. Where did you really start? I know that you told me that you were in the insurance industry. What actually prompted you to get into coaching? Let's start right from your childhood. How was your childhood? Where you from? Where you based? Things like that.
Okay. Okay. So I generally start with a very interesting point that is there. I've done 8 schools. I mean, it's always kind of comes to as a surprise to people who kind of hear this from my side. Because of my dad's job, we've moved places and traveled from one city to the other city, and I think till eighth standard or maybe yeah eighth standard, I have done 8 schools. So it's kind of been a very interesting journey in that sense. Yeah, some may look at it like a place where you don't get to settle or you don't get to make friends, but for me it's been interesting and fun to get to know people, get to know different places, learn so many different things. So yeah, so that's the childhood part of it. I think from eighth standard, yes, we've been in Bombay, and I've been in Bombay from then on, and a Bombay girl at heart. Generally, that life happens, and then kind of after college, got into the regular life flow, which was getting married, having kids, so on and so forth, and then kind of got into a place where I started working. Didn't know head or tails of what working is. Didn't know what insurance meant. I remember when I started working, and it was like I was given a policy document because we were into insurance broking space, and we would cater to the organizations employee benefit solutions. We would kind of give them the structure, the constitution of the policy, the benefits, and so on and so forth, and service the policy for the entire year. And I didn't know what insurance meant, or for that matter, even Mediclaim meant. So I was given a policy document of to kind of by heart and read, and I was told by my colleague that I'm supposed to know right from the start of the word to the end of the word.
Uh-huh.
जिंदगी में कभी नहीं करी होगी जितनी मैंने वो policy document, and I was told that I'm supposed to kind of get to know every details of the policy document, and in 7 days I should be ready. So then there would be a sort of a interview, or kind of getting to know how much I have understood of the policy
Uh-huh.
or things, because that's the critical part of the policy. And वो दिन अभी तक
Uh-huh.
मतलब I mean, like, probably I did a PhD out of it, but I've never kind of been asked any question about the wordings or the policy do's and don'ts of it. But okay, the jokes apart, so we kind of were into insurance space. We ran an organization called MediManage Insurance Broking. We were 3 partners. We started with a team of 5 people when we started this, and somewhere around 2016 is when we kind of decided that we wanted to move on to, I mean, we decided that we would want to try different things in life now. And from there I got a chance to kind of look at what do I want to do now. I was a psychology student. I'd done my psychology. I mean, I'd graduated in psychology from SNDT, and I was always keen on the subject, never left touch of the subject. So I kind of said that if life is giving me a second chance where I would want to kind of look at what do I want to do. I went back to college, I went back to test, I did my 2 years of counseling course,
Mhm.
and that's when I got also introduced to coaching.
Okay.
I was not very well versed with it. I mean, I've heard of coaching, but was never kind of exposed to it or never got into understanding the details of it. And it seemed very interesting as a concept, as a work that I would want to do, because looking at the background of building a team from 5 people to a 250 member team was a journey that I had traveled during building Mary Manage. Right? So it was kind of an interesting idea. And that's how I completed my counseling course at TES. I went and completed my certification with ICF. I picked up Gallup certification as well. I completed my strength coaching certification also. And that's how my journey into coaching started, honestly speaking. Nothing which was like a very, thought put into it. But when I got to know about coaching, it was a very interesting space. It kind of gave me a chance to do a lot of things. And that's how I got into coaching, honestly speaking. It was by chance.
That is an amazing journey, by the way. And just to add to what you're saying, Nilima, I think a lot of coaches who get into coaching, it happens all by accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
For most of the people that I've spoken to who are coaches now, it's always, some they were onto something on that journey and they found coaching and they have always, they felt that sort of instant connection that, hey, you know what, this is meaningful. This is adding value to me as a person. And I know this is what I would love to do. But
So
by chance, very few people I know who always wanted to be coaches. And I think one of the reason, and do correct me if I'm mistaken here, when we talk about coaching as a word, especially in India, the first thing that would come to people's mind is about tuitions, about all these classes, right? Because
I've
that
been
is
asked
how,
this question.
because that is what people generally know about when they say coaching. Oh, so what subject do you teach? And then it becomes very difficult because we have to say, no, no, we're not those educators coaching as in coaching institute, but rather coaches. And there's a lot of ambiguity as to what is coaching, what coaches really do. But if we'll hold on to that thought, let's just, based on what you have said, you said you had to move around while you were a kid, right? What was that journey like? I know it's not difficult to settle in, but there's always a lot of new things that you keep learning. Like, for example, while I was doing my college, obviously I was in Mumbai all life, but in my college, we had a lot of people who were from other cities, other states. And what I found them to be doing different while they were staying in hostel, they had a different approach to life rather than someone who's been in the city all life. So you just wake up, you have your family to make tiffin for you. Especially if you're a student, mom, dad would possibly give you some pocket money. You just go to college, enjoy life, study, come back. But for those people who are possibly in a different city, have to keep traveling, their perspective on life changes. Now, I know you would be a kid, but has there been anything that you learned while traveling? What was one place that you loved the most? Something that you picked up?
Interesting. I mean, so quite a few things I think one learns through this journey, but the biggest thing that probably I would want to add is I learned Bengali.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because my dad was placed in Calcutta or Kolkata as they call it now, and we were there for quite some time. And when I was schooling there, we had a subject which was Bengali, so I kind of uh, learned to write, read,
Wow.
kind of went through that entire thing. Of course, I'm not that good at, I mean, if you ask me to read and write now, I would not, but I've lost touch with the language per se on that sense of it. But speaking, yes, I still, and somehow I don't know how, but in my life around me there are people who are either Bengalis from Bombay or whatever reason, but some or the other way I have people who in and around my who are from that city or belong to that place, and it's been fun learning the language. Has a very different charm to it. And then I think, to answer the other part of it, is it teaches you to adapt, I think,
Yes.
because every city has its own rhythm, every city has its own culture, a style, people. That's something which you learn to adapt and make kind of, when you are trying to make friends in
Yeah.
childhood, it becomes all the more critical because you want to be belonged there, so you pick up those small things, nuances which is particular to that city. So it kind of teaches you adaptability, flexibility, resilience, get along with people. Those things are something which you learn along the way. So yeah, that's something I think was interesting part of traveling from one city to the other city.
I mean, obviously, because you're traveling, you're adapting, as you rightly said. But you also tend to, especially as a kid, you tend to learn a lot of social skills, things
Yes.
which maybe your ideal school, college may have not taught you because you are restricted to a certain group of people whom you like, who are culturally the same. But because you have to keep traveling, you are adapting, you are getting accustomed to their cultures, social skills. This is amazing. I mean, I had a huge influence. So one of my best friend in school days was a Bengali,
Oh,
and his father, absolutely amazing gentleman. And what I found is generally people who are from that part of the world, they are very much drawn towards aspect like culture, tradition, and arts in general. Has that somewhere also had any sort of impact on you?
yes, no, maybe I really don't know how, but generally, as any parents would probably do, they put you to drawing class, to dance class, or a music class. I've also gone through that. My parents have put me for learning dance, learning. कथक सीखो ये ड्राइंग सीखो म्यूजिक सीखो so all those things have happened with me but unfortunately nothing is stuck with me, honestly. Yes, I love listening to music. I'm a big fan of Hindustani classical music and old Hindi songs for sure, but
Absolutely
that has
brilliant.
not had any influence on me
No, no, I'm obviously not going to ask you to sing.
so
But this
I
has, I
mean
mean,
Calcutta, I'm sorry, it didn't
no,
rub
no.
on me that
So,
way.
apart from Calcutta, what was the other place that would be your favorite?
Bombay.
Bombay.
I still
What
call
do
it.
you like about
It
Bombay?
does. It doesn't. Mumbai doesn't still come to me. Bombay is still. I'm that person. So Bombay is like the place that I kind of love
Actually, the
being.
same thing that I've heard from a lot of my friends, and I'm just speaking about what my friends have to say, not making it very generic, but what my friends have told me, and this my friends have been relocated to different parts of the world. So you have people who are in London, who are possibly in the States, even in Dubai. Um, but one thing that they always tell me is, although the lifestyle there is very different, very advanced, but people who are from Bombay, they still have that soft corner of Bombay. It's something that makes them feel home. Although I have been born and brought up in Mumbai, so I know how the things are. There's obviously a lot of things that can be better, but you have that home feeling, right, when you're in Bombay.
It has a very different charm. I mean, each city has its own different charm. I mean, there's no two thoughts on that front. Probably because I grew up, I have studied to a great extent. I've been probably stable in this city, so that attachment is there. I guess it has a different charm to it. And I always feel that I think this is the only city which kind of talks about distance and time rather in
Yeah.
kilometers or kind of a thing. Matlab, people can't imagine ki 7:59,
Yeah.
what does that even mean, or 6:57 virar.
Correct.
People can't understand that, so I mean, people can't understand that in the sense of कि एक मिनट से आगे कितना फर्क पड़ सकता है. I mean, 1 minute, the train that you miss 6:59 का तो आपका आधा घंटा is gone,
No, no, hundred
which
percent.
which is not something which people who travel on two wheelers and cars in other cities get it. So that's
Hundred
that's
percent agree.
the yeah. So I feel that time and distance वाला जो फंडा है ना, वो सिर्फ बम्बई में ही समझ आता है,
No, no,
nowhere
very
else.
Very true. In fact, now that I've recently relocated to Ahmedabad, right? And before this, also all the places that I've traveled. So I have a lot of friends from Jaipur and Chandigarh. So last time when I was on a trip there, I asked someone, "Hey, I want to go from here to there." So how much time it will take? It's like it's just about 7 kilometers. I'm like 7 kilometers in my mind. I'm trying to calculate what does that even mean? Because being in Bombay, all you really want is that, oh, it's just 10 minutes away.
Yes.
That's the concept that we have as Mumbai girls. I
Yeah.
love that about the city. Mumbai
Yeah.
made it for a reason.
Absolutely. And I love the vada pavs.
Oh, no doubt about it. In fact, when I was on my recent trip to Mumbai, the first thing that I did, getting off at the station, go and get a vada pav for myself. Love it. Okay. Here's a quite interesting question coming your way. There's a lot that you have done throughout your life, right? You even switched careers, you found your passion into helping others and also possibly making a business out of it. But if I had to ask you a very simple question, and the question is, if you had to define yourself in a statement or two, how would you do it?
Okay. I would say work in progress. Still figuring out. Honestly, still figuring out. Work in progress. And maybe at this age and stage of life, I think I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because maybe had you asked me this question 10 years back or 15 years back, maybe I would not be so comfortable. Yes, I would still be figuring things out. But I'm at a stage where I'm saying, "Okay, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing if at my own pace and at my own speed. I'm not in that rush. Probably that's where I am today. So still
And that's
figuring
that's actually brilliant. You get to a certain stage in life and you start realizing that what you are chasing is ultimately not going to give you happiness. You have to be happy right here in the moment. I wouldn't say be content with everything that you have. You obviously aim for certain things to have a better life, to have a better impact on people's life. But the need to be saying, hey, you know what, where I am, I look back at
out.
my journey and I've achieved a lot.
I'm saying I'm comfortable. That's the case I am with, and I'm like kind of ready to figure out the next part of the journey. That's what I'm saying.
Were there any challenges you faced? What was the one challenge which was the most difficult to overcome? What did it actually teach you?
Okay, besides learning the policy
Personally,
document,
professionally, anything.
besides learning the policy document,
Oh yes, yes.
was they I don't know how to put it, but honestly, I didn't come from a management background, right? I never gone to a school which taught you business or those kind of no inkling of how it works and so on and so forth. I started okay, when I started with MediManage, I started as an employee. I didn't start as a partner then, right? I started as an employee, and over a period of years is when I kind of made partners and came to a level where I could be. It took me a while to be there, but it was fun. It was a lot of learning because it was like कैसे करते हैं क्या करते हैं कुछ नहीं पता है. So you learn as you grow. You go and you try, and then you see, okay, this is not working, that is not working. So then how do you improvise? You figure out things. That's how the journey has been, honestly, for initial stages of my career, if that's what a challenge, if you call it a challenge. And then yes, while building the team, while kind of initially it was a small team, maybe 10, 15 people, so you could have a one-on-one connect, and you could figure things out, what is working with them, what is not working, and so on and so forth. But as the team started going, your connects and your getting to know them on one-on-one also could become a challenge, because you were building business, you were building team, you were setting processes, you were dealing with the customer, yeah. So that entire thing probably was a huge learning and a big learning curve. So that's something which I would say was a challenge, learning everything in one, yeah,
No, no,
universe.
absolutely brilliant. One of the articles that I read recently, it
Hmm.
spoke about, it was from one of the book, and I'll send you that link after the session maybe. But it was about, while you're growing business, right, from a small team to a larger team, uh, one to one. If it's just you and me, two employees, we usually have one on one connects. But if now there are four more people, so the number of connects, so I connect with you, you connect with someone else, and number of connect it starts. And it said after a while, even if your team is about just 12 people, the number of connects that you have is overwhelming.
Yeah.
I totally relate to it because I have seen a lot of people who have started their company small team, very easy, all employees happy. But the larger the team gets, so one connects, that personal touch somewhere that misses. And obviously, you need to have a vision, shared vision.
Yeah. So, and probably that learnings and those challenges or those experiences, as I would say, probably has kind of been a great motivator for, the work that I currently do also, because you know what happens, the process that, I mean, today when I work with the new managers or the first time managers, I've seen that journey happening. It's to a great extent it has happened with me also. Like I kind of was working as an individual contributor, doing things hands on. Then as when the team grew, then you had to manage your team members and getting things done from them. So those things, how you manage them, how do you take care of things, how do you manage your time, how do you delegate, how do you, so all those learnings is what I think want to translate and bring it to the
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. In
that's
fact,
the only thing that I want to kind of look at today.
no, that's actually something very beautiful that you said because I remember a very good friend of mine. He was an MBA student, and he said something very profound. He said, "I see a lot of people who are going for classes, for tuitions, or possibly they associate with an institute where a professor is teaching about how to build a business, but has never built a business of his own. No disrespect with the knowledge that the person will have. Obviously, it's at a certain level that he can actually translate it, articulate it, make it understood by people. But then his point, which I totally agree to, is something that if I'm teaching about business, I need to be first, someone who has had hands-on business, because then it makes a lot of sense. I go through the challenges, becomes easy for me to relate. So while you're talking about, okay, you've done this, you have seen ups and downs, and hence it becomes easy for you to translate that to your clients. And I think that is one of your advantage. Amazing.
Yeah, doing my best.
This is good. This is good. Okay. One simple question. What are you doing currently? What is your initiative? What is your venture? How it is helping people? If someone has to possibly think, hey, you know what, should I work with Nilima as a coach? Why they should pick you? Because there's a lot of coaches available in the market, but then what
Yeah.
sets you apart?
Honestly, okay, to put it very simply, as I said, what I have learned is what I'm trying to bring it and translate it
Uh-huh.
into my work in today's given workplace scenarios. I know the challenges probably that are there to start small and then make the team grow. So at Better Manager, what we are talking about is working with the new first time managers. Okay, before I answer that, I just want to kind of deviate a bit on this. Is we generally see that when we are doing certain things, let's say in an organization, what ends up happening is that you see an individual contributor or you say a group of team members. What you end up doing is you end up grooming them for technical skills.
Right.
अगर आईटी वाला बंदा है तो आप उसको बोलते हो कि ये कोर्स करो वो कोर्स करो सी और send them to conferences seminars or let them do different things so that they upskill on the given task.
Yes.
Now, once they come to a certain level, you need to move them up the ladder because that's how the organizations progress. That's how the individual also aspiration. The individuals who have aspirations want to move up the ladder, and you move them to become a team leader, team manager, whatever you label it, right? Now, an excellent individual contributor or a excellent IC, whatever that labels that we use, the moment he is moved to a team lead level or a manager level, you kind of see that his performance dips, hers, whatever, right? And then you wonder what is that is not working. What is like, अभी क्या हो गया इतना तो अच्छा काम कर रहा था, what is this so drastically gone wrong that he's not able to perform.
Correct.
So in this entire process, what organizations generally miss is that you train them for the technical know-how, but you don't train them for the people management skills. So that's where I think that a manager is wanting to be partnering with organizations for that aspect of it, where we want to kind of train them on people management skills, getting things done, understanding yourself. The point is that if you don't know yourself and are not self aware about what are your strengths, what are your strong points that help you manage the entire teamwork, or you cannot perform better. You have, because I mean, I remember I always used to tell my team members when I was leading many manage कि boss, after a point आपको लोगों से के लेना
Very
है.
true. Very true.
It just doesn't really matter after a point, because you're not going to, you it's physically impossible for you to sit and do the work. So it is that you have to get things done from your team members, and how do you get that done is what is going to be the key for, if you aspire to become a leader or a CEO or the CXO or the CHRO or whatever that you aspire to be. So how do you
Right.
manage that is what is the learning that you need to gather, and that's what I always used to talk to my team members when I was leading many manage, and I'm saying that is what I'm talking about while I'm building better managers, saying that ki it's ultimately people who do the work, so you have to learn to get things done from people. That's where we are kind of building that leadership level for the organization and for the individual also. So that's
Absolutely brilliant.
that's what I
Brilliant.
kind of look at.
I think the purpose is really clear as to why do we want to do this, because there's a huge need in the market. And I come from a BPO background, and the first time I became a team lead, for almost 6 months I thought I am absolutely brilliant team lead. Everything that I do with my team is absolutely amazing because I used to take good care of them. I used to deliver on all my KPIs, the SLAs, everything. Clients were happy, bosses were happy. And it was not until one of the team outing that we had, and one of my team members said, "Hey, you know what? I don't like you as a team lead." And obviously, this is after something had gone inside him that the real truth was coming out. Otherwise, in the office setup, he would never usually talk about it. But in that moment, he said something very, which I took a lot of offense. But now that I look back at it, it really helped me to become actually a good team lead. And what he said was, uh, the problem with you as a leader is you look at me and you know that I have great potential, so you want to push me. But in that thing, all the important tasks, all the important projects, you just give it to me. While the other team members, you're not, not upskilling them, you're not delegating tasks to them. In my mind, I was like, it's an important project. We can't miss it. We can't mess it. So the only person I'm going to put in charge is going to be him. But without even me realizing, I somehow ignored the others. In that conversation, I realized that I need to be looking at things differently. I thought I was a really good team lead, but then that was moment of truth for me.
Yeah.
Has something like that happened with your clients also?
Yes. So the point is that I kind of so I work with both the sides. I work with individuals also, and I work with organizations also. My what would I say, submission to the organization side of it is always is that you need to groom your people to do things in a different manner, to understand things in a way where they become your next in line. You're building that kind of base for people to grow, connect, and enjoy what they're doing in the organization. So you're building the culture also of, what would I say, where there is learning, there's growth, there is upskilling that happens. The importance is on connections, rappos, and I don't know how to say it, is the business growth does not kind of happen because you end up spending time in retention. If you don't retain or train or retain the people, what you're ending up doing is basically looking for people to come inside, groom them again, and train them again to do your work. So
So I was saying that I realized that one of my friend, my colleague, when he said, "Hey, you know what? This is what you think of yourself as a leader, but you have not got it right because you have been only focusing on me." for most of the projects. But while there were others whom you possibly neglected, you didn't delegate things to them. Has something like this also happened in your work while you were coaching people, that they also realize that, hey, I think I'm an exceptional leader, but reality is different?
Yeah, so when we kind of when I do work with organizations, and when we kind of do those group coachings, team coachings more so than group coaching, when the team is with the leader, and then we kind of try and kind of have a safe space where people can speak up their mind and what is working, what is not working. There have been these incidences where people, similar to what you kind of just said, where one of the team member comes and stands up and says, you just kind of get upset when I kind of come to you with a certain
Hmm.
challenge, and you just don't listen to me, and then you take control of things and you just kind of finish it off. You don't give me a chance of telling you what my problem is, and wanting to ask you how do I go about it. The leader, I mean the team leader, then comes back and says कि यार बट मेरे पास टाइम नहीं होता तुम्हारा ये सब सुनने के लिए. If I kind of sit and listen to you, then how do I kind of manage the deadline? Or if the client is kind of sitting calling me consistently about ki what is happening, I don't have that kind of time. So I don't want to I would rather take care of the client than take care of you, is
Hmm.
how it ends up. So that's the point of kind of learning, where then I kind of have kind of intervene and say that, boss, yes, maybe at that given point of time you don't have that bandwidth where you would kind of help your team member to solve the problem.
Correct.
But once you've solved the problem, can you kind of come back to your team member and talk about it and have a sort of a one-on-one which says, "Okay, okay, this is what didn't work, this is what is not working, and we need to course correct on this aspect of this, or the style of working or communication, whatever that it is." So that kind of realizations do come in with team members, and because it's a safe space where people kind of are open to sharing and to listening, a lot of misunderstandings or miscommunications get resolved.
Hmm.
So
Very true.
that helps in the team bonding and a better sync in the team working. That actually helps. And when we do the group coaching part of it, where it's a mix of all the team leaders coming in and talking about their challenges or about their scenarios of dealing with their team members, there's a lot of learning which kind of comes in between them only. I mean, I really don't have to. So many times it's just between, let's say there are 5 team members, team leaders sitting in the session. So one starts saying that, okay, मेरे पास ना ये ऐसे ऐसे problems होता है. Then somebody and chips in, oh, but then I also had the same problem, and then we kind of solved the problem in a certain way, and
Hmm.
this is how we went about it. So the learning happens in that entire 5 6 set of people on their own. It's just that I'm kind of incidental in so many ways there to just kind of point to certain directions. That helps in a way where generally what happens is, in organizations, if you see, teams work as islands.
Correct.
Lot of time there is a break in that communication that is there ki, okay, wo team ye team, and then there's that competitiveness, and that
Hmm.
mera team better hai, tumhara team aisa hai. Those silos get broken, that connections which are not there get kind of addressed. So that kind of things happen when we're working with organizations. That's
Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, just to a different, tangent. You had mentioned something about spy thriller, and I know reading up as a kid, you used to love spy thriller, and
Oh, I still love them, don't worry.
that also has helped you to uncover a lot of things. So, and how has spy thriller, reading spy thrillers, made you, in terms of your coaching, made you a better coach?
Okay. I think this is a very dangerous territory that we are in. But to answer this, I mean, I feel in some ways these reading these spy thrillers or these books, and or probably watching movies, and maybe watching these TV series has helped me. And I feel they help you ask questions. It makes you think, okay, what's next, what is the possibility, what is that, will kind of more so reading than watching, because watching is like more of a visual so the imagination is not so much of a, but when you're reading, I think it leads you to imagine things and then try and ask questions and think of different scenarios and possibilities and dig deeper. So in coaching, I feel, I mean, sort of drawing parallel here, that in coaching you need to dig deeper to understand what is the real challenge or what is the
Correct.
real issue or point that the person is sitting in front of you is wanting to solve for himself or herself. So that's where I think the spy thrillers or the books have kind of helped or helped still.
That is absolutely brilliant. You have also done your Gallup Strength Coaching, right? So, what is it, for those people who have possibly not heard about Gallup Strength Coach, if you can just tell them what is it and how has it helped you in your journey as a coach?
I personally always have felt that before even getting introduced to Gallup, I honestly didn't know that something like Gallup existed for a very long time. Okay. Um, I always have felt that focusing on the strength always helps. Okay. We are so conditioned to kind of, in our upbringing, in our cultural way of working, or even for that matter in the organizations also, when we do these annual reviews and feedbacks, we end up focusing on the weak part of it.
Hmm.
कि हाँ ये सब ठीक है, but ये is something which you have to work on. So I always feel that focusing on the strengths help you kind of go longer and faster than focusing on the weakness.
Right.
uh, I mean, it's a weird thing. I mean, I feel, and a lot of people kind of think about it in that manner. Ki weakness is there for a reason. Probably you're not cut out for it. I mean, having said that, I'm not saying that you should not work on your weaknesses, but in a simple thing, when I was growing up, I was really bad at maths. Maths
Hmm.
was not my strong suit at all,
There's a lot of
and
people who will resonate with this.
possibly, but I still remember my mom sitting with me and kind of making me do maths and asking me to solve problems and asking me questions: is this right, is this wrong, and so on and so forth. But the point is, but I was good at some other subjects. I was
Hmm.
good at English.
Hmm.
So, but I was always told that because maths is weak, मैथ सीखो, मैथ्स
Hmm.
पे ध्यान दो, and English, हाँ ठीक है, you're good at it, it's okay. I'm hoping and assuming that there are parents today who kind of don't follow this kind of a ये old people. I mean, my times it was the trend that parents always wanted to focus on science, कुछ होने वाला नहीं है आगे जाके इंग्लिश का क्या ही करोगे आप, sort of things. So the point, coming back to the strength philosophy, I always feel, if I am good at English and I kind of I'm better at it, I will do better. I mean, there's something which I will do much more, I will put in much more effort because it comes naturally to me, right?
True.
So that's the philosophy that I always kind of worked upon. And that's how, when I got to know about Gallup, I mean, I took it, kind of saying that ये certification तो मैंने करना है.
Hmm.
And Gallup also does that, in the sense they have this 32 strengths that they kind of have worked out, and maybe there are top 5, top 10 strengths that you kind of know. And the philosophy goes as is that you work on your strengths to manage other aspects of it. So to kind of simply put it, if you're bad at maths, let's say the numbers, the mathematical part of it,
Hmm.
but your logical thinking may be good, right? So how can you kind of, with your logical thinking, bring your maths level to a certain level where it doesn't remain a weakness, you can kind of circumvent it and manage to pass your exams, manage to get your certification, and move to the next standard. That's how the entire Gallup philosophy, to a great extent, works.
What you were saying about hoping that parents these days are
Hmm.
looking at things differently. Maybe, but I know some people who are not, unfortunately. Although there are all these movies, like Tare Zameen Pe, you have movies like Three Idiots, which talks about not just sticking to the usual traditional way of judging your kids, especially not comparing them at all with Sharma Ji Ka Beta, because but unfortunately that is still um, what's happening in the society. So do you think that maybe parents should also consider strength coaching? If at least parents understand that, hey, you know what, rather than just looking at where my kid is not really doing good, uh, looking at what is their
I
strength.
really don't know. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as a philosophy, strength philosophy or the strength psychology, yes, it would definitely help parents knowing about it and being aware of it. But I'm not the person for it, honestly.
Perfect, no problem. While you were talking about how today organizations, especially people who are getting into first-time manager role, they tend to be very knowledgeable, obviously, but now once they become a manager or a team lead or anything to do with a manager leadership position, their focus needs to shift from what I do, what I know, versus how can I help my team to know better, to do better. And I get reminded of a very beautiful quote which says, your customers don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And it had a very profound impact on me, especially from being from a customer service background. Because I realized one time that, hey, you know what? I have access to all this knowledge base. I know the product in and out. But if I don't show care to my customers, don't show them that, hey, you know what? I'm there for you. I understand what you're going through. I'm here to help you. It doesn't really matter. And the same concept, when I take it and I put it to a team, it actually changes the dynamic because my team members first need to know that as a leader, okay, I can count on him, I can trust him, and he genuinely cares for me. What are some of the other aspect or important key characteristic a leader should possess by default? If I want to be a better manager, what are some of the things that I need to have, like top three picks for you?